5 potential openings on the Minnesota Vikings starting lineup. Right now, the Vikings defense does not look good at all. The Vikings have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and that's why you're going to see some similarity with these 5 openings on the Vikings team, as a lot of them are defensive positions. But number 1, the biggest opening on the Vikings team, clear opening, is at the guard position. Right now, Dakota Dozier is our starting left guard, and he signed a 1-year contract with the Minnesota Vikings in 2020 for the 2020 season. He signed a 1-year contract and is going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2021, and he is not a guy we want to sign for another year. I mean, now he's going into his 30s. Dakota Dozier is not a player you want to have as on your starting lineup when he is in his 30s. Right now, Dakota Dozier has a 45.8 PFF grade. That is awful. That is terrible. And he's a left guard. You can find a better replacements at left guard. There's a lot of guards coming out of this draft that we can take in 2021. There's a lot of guards that we can use in his spot. He has allowed 6 sacks and 7 penalties this year. Dakota Dozier has been so bad for the team. I mean, our offensive line is not bad. I will say that right now. You got to show respect for this offensive line. I mean, Riley Reiff is having possibly his best season of his career. Riley Reiff is looking great. Garrett Bradbury is looking amazing. He's looking like a great pick in 2019 when the Minnesota Vikings took him in the first round. He's looking like a really good pick. And then, of course, you have Brian O'Neill at right tackle. Now, Brian O'Neill, we all love Brian O'Neill. He is elite. He's great, but he does suffer with injuries, and that's why we should have Rashad Hill as his backup, and we need to keep him. At the same time, though, on the guard position, both left guard and right guard has been a huge problem. Of course, seeing Drew Samia at right guard was possibly the worst thing that I've seen in a long time. Drew Samia sucks. We had Pat Elflein in 2019. He looked terrible at left guard, and he looked bad at right guard also. So we have huge position at right guard, a huge need, and we need both new starters at left guard and at right guard, and we can focus on that on the draft. At the same time, though, Ezra Cleveland, though, he is our starting right guard right now, and although I don't think he will be our starting right guard in 2021, as I do think he should be a backup left tackle and possibly a backup left guard, he might be our starting left guard also. We don't know, but at the same time, we need new guards, and that's all that we do know. Dakota Dozier is done. Drew Samia is done. We can't see any more of these guys. Outside of that, Brett Jones has looked pretty good at right guard. I do like how he looked. Ezra Cleveland has looked pretty good at guard as well, but he's a left tackle. You should use him as a backup left tackle and a backup left guard. But that's a huge need for the Vikings. Also, defensive end, number 2, big openings right there. Afadi and Jalen Holmes have looked awful. Now, I know we have Danielle Hunter coming back, but honestly, Danielle Hunter coming off of an injury like that, we don't know if he's going to be the Danielle Hunter who we used to see. Danielle was one of the best defensive ends in the league for about a 3-year stretch. And now him coming off of that injury, we don't know how good he's going to look. So this is a big need for the Vikings, a huge opening for the Vikings. Right now, Afadi cannot get to the quarterback, and it's because he is very slow. He leads the team in sacks right now with 4 sacks. With 4. All right, at this point last year, Danielle Hunter had about 14 sacks. All right, that's not good at all for a starting defensive end. Danielle Hunter, we need him to come back, and we don't know if he's going to look great when he comes back. But at the same time, Afadi is not a bad player. I will say that right now. He's not a bad player, and I do think he will be our defensive end starting in the 2021 season as well. But still, we need his role filled very badly. He has a 62.2 PFF grade also. Afadi's very slow, and he should just be an interior pass rusher. He needs to play more snaps on the inside because we have no interior pass rush at this moment. They're all run stoppers. Jalen Holmes, though. Why is he still starting defensive end? All right. DJ Wanham is so much better, and Jalen Holmes is playing as our starting right defensive end, and he is just awful. He has 0 sacks in the season so far, 52.7 PFF grade. I don't know why he is our starting defensive end over DJ Wanham, who really, DJ Wanham is just far better. I mean, athletic and everything. There's no reason to still have Jalen Holmes as a starting defensive end. He's also an interior pass rusher, really. Jalen Holmes is no defensive end. I don't know why he's our starting defensive end. So that's a huge need. Vikings defensive end. Where can we focus on that? Possibly the first round of the NFL draft, or we can take players in free agency, find some kind of way. Although we do have Andre Patterson, who's really good at taking defensive ends. Of course, he got Danielle Hunter in the 3rd round, DJ Wanham in the 4th round, and Everson Griffin was drafted in, 5th round also. So of course, we have Andre Patterson, and we trust Andre Patterson to get us a defensive end somewhere in the draft, whether it's not 1st round, possibly in the 3rd round, or even later than that. Defensive lineman, though. A 3-technique defensive lineman, interior defensive lineman, is a huge need by the Minnesota Vikings. Losing Eric Hendricks, we have seen how bad our defensive line is. We cannot get to the pass rusher. We can't get to the pass at all. We can't stop the run at all. Our defensive line is, as a whole, is awful. And this is something coming out of like the 2017 season. If you told me in 3 years we would have one of the worst defensive lines in the league, I would not believe you. Because that defensive line we used to have in 2017, in just a few years, has turned to one of the worst. This is an awful defensive line. Of course, Michael Pierce, we don't have him anymore. He opted out of the season, and then that was after we lost Linval Joseph. That's after we lost Everson Griffin. Now Danielle Hunter's injury. There's about nobody on this defensive line. And we also had Sheldon Richardson or something. Our entire starting defensive line is gone. And this is all because you paid a quarterback this much money. You lost all of your good starters on defense. And that's why we have one of the worst defenses at this moment, is because of that Kirk Cousins contract. Anyways, 3 technique defensive linemen, someone who can stop the run, someone who can stop the pass. This is asking for a lot, really. But anyways, Shamar Stephen, he might be here for another year. Of course, he is not a potential out, but they can still cut him and save some money. Shamar Stephen, though, I don't think that the Vikings should give him another contract. He will be here for another year. Jaleel Johnson. Jaleel Johnson is another undrafted or unrestricted free agent in 2021, and job could be up for sale. Someone could take his job. I mean, from what I've seen from Jaleel Johnson, he does not look like a starter. He's out there looking like a good backup. Anthony Harris, he was franchise tagged in 2020 to play the 2020 season. Now, of course, when the Minnesota Vikings franchise tagged Anthony Harris, there was no intention of actually using him this season. It was supposed to be a tag and trade. That's why Anthony Harris is playing under the franchise tag and will be gone in the 2021 season because of this cap scenario right now. So now losing Anthony Harris, coming in at number 4 is safety. Again, a few years ago, if you told me safety was the biggest need, I would not believe you at all. I mean, Harrison Smith is still out there. He looks great. Outside of that, we don't have anybody at safety. We lost Jaron Kearse, we lost Andrew Sendejo, and now we're going to lose Anthony Harris. All we have is Harrison Smith, who, again, he's one of the best safeties in the league, but still, you need someone to go alongside him. Everyone else on the roster is rookies, and then we have George Iloka or something like that. Again, nobody that you want to be starting in the NFL right now, aside from Harrison Smith, obviously, but we need a new safety. Somewhere in the draft, we need to get a new safety. We don't have a replacement yet. And number 5, coming in at number 5, outside cornerback. And this is actually kind of happy that this is coming in at number 5, because the last few seasons, this has been the biggest need for the Minnesota Vikings, is a new cornerback. But from what we saw from Mike Hughes, I hate to see, you hate to see it. I mean, Mike Hughes is not a bad cornerback, but you have to admit at this point, Mike Hughes is not going to be here for much longer. Injuries have just ruined his career. He's only 24 at this point. He's like 24 or 25, but injuries have ruined Mike Hughes' career, and that's the reason why he's only out of his like 5 years in the NFL, we've only seen him play about 5 games in the NFL. I hate to see it, but Mike Hughes is done. Mike Hughes is done. I mean, we can keep him for another couple of years, but still, we need a new replacement at right cornerback. We have Cameron Dantzler at left cornerback. He has solidified himself as a great starting cornerback. We have Jeff Gladney, who is possibly a starting cornerback as well, but at the same time, Jeff Gladney is more of a nickelback. Jeff Gladney is more of that cornerback 3, and we need to use him as what he's best for. We can't just ask him to play all the snaps on the outside, because he might look great, but we want to use him more as a slot cornerback, as a nickelback. That's what we want to use Jeff Gladney for. So a new outside cornerback coming in at number 5. I do think we should get a new right cornerback somewhere in the draft. Maybe not. Maybe if it's not first round, somewhere in the draft. This is a huge need that the Minnesota Vikings need to fill up, because Mike Hughes is not going to be here much longer. So those are the 5 positions that I do think are going to be needing to filled, starting positions that will be needing to fill this 2021 offseason. Let me know what you all think about that.